Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to the Know Where You Want to Go Travel Podcast. This is your host, Cam DeYoung. So glad to be back here with episode 39. A few months ago, I had put out an episode that was titled Perfect Fit or Floating FOMO. And that one was all about one honest question. Is Virgin Voyages actually your kind of trip, or would you be chasing somebody else's good time? And that one hit a nerve. I heard from a lot of you. But here's the funny part, almost nobody wrote back to argue. They wrote back with the same follow up over and over. It went something like this. Okay, Cam, I hear you. So, how do I actually know before I spend the money? That question deserved its own episode. So, this is that episode, the sequel you basically wrote for me. And by the end of it, I'm going to give you the one honest answer that I've got. So, we're going to talk about Virgin Curious. That's in the show title. So, let's get right into it. And let me start with that by saying that I need to describe a person to you. And we'll see if that's you or maybe it's somebody you know. They've cruised before, maybe Royal Caribbean, maybe Carnival, maybe they've been cruising for 15, 20, 30 years. And they keep hearing that Virgin Voyages is different. Adults only, no buffet. There's a tattoo parlor on the ship. There's a drag brunch. And they can't quite tell if different means better or if it means not for me. And they're not skeptics. They're not sitting there with their arms crossed going, prove it. It's softer than that. They're intrigued and they're a little intimidated. There's this quiet worry underneath, and the worry is this ship for a cooler person than I am? And I kind of chuckle at saying that because cool is a relative term. We can all be cool in our own ways, but really, that is a question that's asked. But I do have a name for that feeling. And as I mentioned, it's called being Virgin Curious. And here's what drives me a little wild about my own industry. Nobody sells to that feeling, honestly. The standard move when somebody's on defense is to assure or reassure them right off the fence. Oh, you'll love it. Big smile. And then they take the deposit. And I get why. That's just how you end up with somebody standing on a beautiful ship on night two, quietly miserable, doing the math on what they spent, and then going home and telling their friends, cruising's not for me. When the truth is, cruising might be perfect for them. They just took the wrong one and with the wrong captain or first mate guiding it. So I do something different, and I want to walk you through that in today's episode. And if you heard that last episode, it's a few episodes ago, back in May, you know that I built a free tool called the Perfect Cruise Quiz. The Perfect Cruise Quiz has gone through several iterations, and I've learned that I have to make it even stronger than it had been in the past because people could game it and say, hey, I'm a Virgin Voyages sailor, when in reality, they were the furthest thing from it. But I'm not going to go and re-explain that today or talk about the updates. You can go right to camjohntravel.com to the Perfect Cruise Quiz. It's on the homepage, the link to it if you want to take a look at it. But what I want to talk about is the part that I didn't get fully into in the last episode about this. And it's the honest reason a guy, myself, who sells Virgin Voyages would build a tool that sometimes tell people not to sail Virgin Voyages because it does. Sometimes that quiz comes back and basically says, this isn't your line. And when it does, I tell you that out loud. And people find that surprising, if not shocking. It's amazing the feedback I get. It's like, I want to book it anyway, or why won't you work with me? And it's because I believe in doing the right thing. And also, even more honest answer, it's not because I'm a saint, it's self defense. Selling somebody the wrong cruise is the most expensive thing I can do. Not because of a refund, because I'll spend that entire sailing quietly managing a mismatch that I created. It's all about that. Forget the refund, forget the cancellation. I have to manage a mismatch. I have to manage someone's experience that was mismatched from the beginning. And more than that, this whole business runs on one thing, just like other businesses. And it's that people are going to tell other people that I got it right. And if I get it wrong, they're going to say the same thing. I got it wrong. One booking is one transaction, but a reputation is all of them. It's all of the transactions combined. And I'm not going to trade the second thing for the first. So I do ask a lot of questions before I'll talk price. Some of them feel like they've got nothing to do with cruising. And yes, there's a real chance I tell you that what you want isn't what I sell. That is not me being difficult. That's the job working correctly. Fit before fair. That is my whole philosophy. But I have learned the hard way some things about the quiz. And it's really the heart of the episode. So I really want to slow down for this part. A quiz is great. A quiz can absolutely rule things out. A quiz can tell you the shape of a fit, but it does have a ceiling. There are questions a quiz simply can't answer. And they're the ones that actually decide whether you're going to love this. Does adults only feel like freedom to you, or does it feel like something's missing? Well, you don't know that until you're in it. Is no buffet liberating or is it annoying? And I mean for you specifically. Some people feel set free by the buffet, some people miss it. Both are allowed. And I should say they feel set free in two ways. They're free because they don't have it, and they set free because they do have it and they have the so called flexibility of having the buffet. So let me clarify that. It's very important. And then, in addition to that, does a smaller design forward ship feel intimate? Or does it feel cramped? Same ship, two completely different human beings, two completely different answers. And I get that in feedback from my sailors. The ship is smaller, but it feels open. Or the ship is smaller, but it feels cramped. There's a lot of reasons for those answers, but there's a lot of different reasons why we all have different mindsets on what we believe is big, small, cramped, open, etc. You can't reason your way to those answers. You can't have them explained to you by an enthusiastic first mate or travel agent. And I'm that enthusiastic first mate, so I would know. The only way to answer them is to stand on the thing, stand on the ship. But that's the ceiling, and that's the exact problem that the next part is going to solve for you. So, starting in March 2027, and once a year, maybe once a quarter, maybe once a month, we'll see how it all goes. I'm going to be hosting a sailing that's built precisely for what the quiz can answer. We're going to overcome that ceiling. And it's called an Introduction to Virgin Voyages. It's the shortest, or almost the shortest. Virgin does have some 3 night sailings now, but I do think you need to get to 4 nights and really no more than that and no less than that. But it's going to be a 4 night sailing on Brilliant Lady, which is the newest ship in the Virgin Voyages fleet. This is going to be a round trip out of Miami. It's going to be a Thursday to Monday, which is great for the long weekend. So, not as much PTO. So, that's a great thing there. And then it does have a stop in Key West and a day at Virgin's Beach Club at Bimini. That's going to be March 4th through the 8th, 2027. And I do want to defend that 4 nights part for a second because it does seem quite counterintuitive. Most of the industry, when you show interest, tries to sell you on the longest sailing you'll say yes to. And I get that instinct. But for a first Virgin voyage, I think it's backwards. Go shorter first. Here's the logic. If you go on this 4 night sailing and you love it, and most people do, fantastic. You found your line. Every trip after this one is easier because now you know. And if you go and you don't love it, you spent 4 nights finding that out, not 11, and you still learned something true about how you like to travel. There's really no version of that where you lose. That's fit before fair, except now it's not a slogan, it's a ship. It's the quiz you take with your feet. And look, the money's all on the landing page. It's roughly $1,000 a sailor, all in, and about 400 hold your cabin. It's really easy. And that's, but to be clear, I don't love talking about dollars and cents sometimes, especially around something that might not be a fit, but it is a smaller investment and it's important to know. But that's not why you're listening. So I'll leave the math where it belongs on that landing page. But this is the part where it costs me bookings. And this is so important. And this is what cost me bookings, which is how you know I mean it. This sailing is not for everyone. And I want to actually tell you who should skip it. If you've already sailed Virgin and you know you love it, you can come join us and maybe you'll learn something new about the new Virgin Voyages group program. That's fine. But you might just want to skip it. You don't need an introduction to something you're already fluent in. You can go ahead and book that longer voyage, go somewhere this itinerary doesn't even reach, whether it's the Med, Caribbean deep diving, something out of Barcelona, or going into Athens, could be something out of Seattle up to Alaska, whatever's calling you. Put your money into that trip and not the orientation. I'll tell you that. And you can come to me and ask. And maybe it's a fit, maybe not. And honestly, if a short Caribbean long weekend isn't the vacation you're actually dreaming about right now, don't force it into that shape. This sailing is a tool, and it's a really good tool for one specific job. It's not the destination. I'd rather tell you that than sell you a hammer when you came for a paintbrush. So, what is this? What is this? What makes this different than just booking a cruise online? Well, I'd like to first of all believe that all of the experiences with Cam John Travel is much more uh, fluent than booking a cruise online. But for this one, two words: we're there. This is not hosted from a desk in Babcock Ranch, Florida. Jonathan and I, and yes, for anyone who hasn't put it together, Jonathan is the John and Cam John. He's my partner of almost 20 years, and the two of us are physically going to be on that ship, sailing right along this with you and the rest of the crew. And here's what this actually buys you, because it's simpler than it sounds. A first timer doesn't need a concierge. A first timer needs a person, somebody at breakfast who can say, yes, go to Gun Bay tonight. Sit down at the communal table with total strangers. Trust me, it'll be the best night of your trip. Somebody who can say, skip that, do this instead. Somebody you can ask the question you feel a little silly asking, and that's okay. There's a get together on the second morning, so nobody's wandering the ship alone. There's a group dinner. There's a private crew community before, during, and after the trip, so the people you meet don't just evaporate at the gangway. And for solo travelers, this is one of the only ways I know how to travel by yourself without traveling alone. To be sure, let me be clear on that. Virgin Voyages is amazing for solo travelers. So you could go on your own on a trip with Virgin Voyages and you'd be just fine. But if you want to be in a situation where you get to know your small group in advance of the cruise, then you can come together with us and you come on your own and you can leave with that crew you actually keep up with. So it can be quite amazing there. So we do have an early bird window on this, and I want to talk about that the most honest way I can. Because if you listen to the show, you know how I feel about fake urgency, the blinking countdown clocks. 3 people are looking at this deal. I think most of that is theater, and I've said so. But here's the true version. I'll be honest about deadlines. A date I set, I could move. That's just the truth. It's my date. But what I cannot move is the ship. There are 16 cabins at the guaranteed group price on this sailing. When those are gone, they're gone. And that's the only clock in this whole thing that isn't mine. The early bird date is August 26th. So that's going to be coming up in just over a month from publication of this podcast. And then after that, the group pricing could change. It really depends on what's available then, if I need to get more cabins or if I'm able to get even more cabins. I'm telling you now, so there's not a surprise. I don't want you to be surprised. And I genuinely would rather you come on this trip for the right reason than to rush to beat a calendar. The calendar's soft, but the cabin count isn't. Clocks lie, for sure. I've talked about this so many times in the blog, on podcasts, etc. But inventory does not. So to wrap, if you're virgin curious, if you're intrigued but not sure, if you're tired of being reassured instead of informed, this little 4-night sailing was built for you. Bring your friends along, bring your family along. There's plenty of room, 16 cabins. We have plenty available. Come find out with a group of people who will happily answer what you might think is your silliest question. No judgment, because there are no dumb and silly questions on a ship you've never sailed. Everything is in the link in the show notes. And if it turns out this isn't your year, that's okay, because I'd rather you sail when it's right for you than because I told you to hurry up. So thank you for spending this time with me on this. I really appreciate it. I know this is more of a sales forward episode, and that's not my intention. My intention is really to tie back into the fact that, a quiz can go so far, can only go so far. But when you can get on board and have a lower cost of entry to an introduction sailing on one of the fastest growing cruise lines in the world, not by ships, but by number of people sailing, by percentage of growth every year, there's a reason for that. Virgin prices have continued to increase, but their number of bookings are increasing. It's because people come back with amazing, amazing stories to tell. And I would love for you to be able to spend that time with me, Jonathan, and others here in March of 2027. So thank you so much. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast, comment, like it, share it with your friends and family. Check out the link in the show notes so you'll learn much more about this sailing. Thank you so very much. And I appreciate you very much and have a wonderful day.